Good morning, friends. Today we will begin with the new topic that is arch. Okay. In this chapter, we are going to discuss introduction to this arch. Okay. Introduction to arch. Second is different components of segmental arch. Different components of segmental arch. Third part, we are going to discuss classification or types of arches. Types of arches. Fourth one, we are going to discuss stability of the arch. The last part, which is construction of arch. Typically we are going to discuss the rcc arch will be there, and what are the different steps involved in the construction of rcc arch. Okay, so in this one we are going to discuss now. Okay, typical can you see this diagram? This is a typical arch construction. Can you see? There is a big opening, and on the both sides you have walls. On the both sides you have all walls. In the center you have opening. So to support this top portion, like in this diagram also you can see, to support the top load of the wall constructed above this opening, we generally use arches. If it is in a circular, not circular, curve portion, we call it as arch. If it is horizontal, then we generally call it as lintel. I'm telling it generally. Okay, if it is this horizontal portion is there, and above this wall is there, and it is supporting some opening, then we call lintel. If it is in a curved shape, then we call it as arch. Okay, so in this one you can see the definition. An arch is a curved like structure. It is a curved like structure constructed by wedge shaped units. Can you see these shapes? Here it is one wedge shaped unit. Here, second, third, like fourth. So here all are wedge shaped units. Means when you enlarge that one, it is not a rectangle. One side it is broader, another side it is a little bit smaller, and it is joined by these edges. So when you join these multiple wedge shaped units, you will get what? One curved shape, like this one curved shape. Okay, so that is why we call it as wedge shape. Wedge means what? One side it is larger, another side it is smaller, and it is joined by some edge. So can you see here this portion is little bit larger, here this width is little bit lesser. Okay, so in this way it is joined here, and these multiple wedge shaped units are kept like this. Multiple wedge shaped units are kept like this, joined by what? Joined by suitable mortar. Okay, so joined together with mortar, which provides what? Horizontal support. So this horizontal support for what? Horizontal support for horizontal support for this wall. Okay, this is the definition part. Now we see different components. We will see what are the different components of the typical arch. So here you can see the definition of lintel and arch. So lintel and arch are structural members. These are what? Structural members designed to carry or designed to support the loads of the portion of the wall which is situated above. Suppose this is a wall, so here wall is continue, this side also wall is continue. So the lintel or arch which is covering the opening and which supports the wall which is coming above, which supports the wall which is situated above the opening. Okay, and then transmit the loads to the adjacent wall portion. Transmits the loads to the adjacent portion. We generally call it as jam. So this definition jam is discussed in module 2. Okay, so which will transfer this load to the adjacent wall over which these are supported. If you see in this diagram, you'll understand. Okay, so here what is happening? Here the wall will come above here, and this arch will transfer the load to the sides, which will transfer the loads to the sides. Adjacent supports, we call it as adjacent supports. I hope it is clear now. So this is a typical diagrammatic or isometric view of a arch. So in this you can easily see the blocks, or you can say wedge shaped blocks, okay, which are joined by the mortar. Okay, now coming back to this definition. So here you can easily see arch is wedge shaped, consists of wedge shaped units. So these wedge shaped units may be bricks, may be stone, may be RCC blocks, may be CC block, anything, okay, joined with the mortar, okay. So which will support the superimposed load. Superimposed load means what? So whatever the loads which are coming above this, okay. In this diagram also you can see whatever the loads coming above are called as superimposed load. So for this also, here is the superimposed load. Okay, maybe this wall, maybe it is supporting a bridge, maybe vehicles may move on the top. So all are called as superimposed load. Okay, all are called as superimposed load. Now we are going to what is this element. Okay, first we will discuss what is this. Due to its wedge like form, the units support each other, and the load tends to make them compact. Loads tends to make them compact and enables them to transmit the pressure downward. If you see the diagram here, you can see what is happening here. What is happening? See this arch, okay, the second one arch here. Whatever the load is coming from the top, on this arch, it is making these blocks into a compression. Okay, what type of force is induced when you put load from the top? These blocks or these wedge shaped units are will get compressed, and thus that load is transferred through this abutments. The sides, this portion or this total, these are called as abutments are nothing but support structure. So under the action of the load, superimposed load, the brick units or the block units or the wedge shaped units will get compressed. So what type of force will be acting? Compression. So this will be compression, and that compression force later stage will be transferred to the sides. Like this it will come, and it will be transferred. Whatever the load is there now, it is converted into compressive force here, compression force, and it will make more compression, and finally it is transferred to the points. Okay. Now we will see different elements in the segmental arch. Segmental arch is one category, that's all. For easy understanding, you just consider elements of an arch. This question is very important. So many times it is asked in the main exam. Okay. Now to understand this, go to this diagram. This is a typical section, or you can say diagram. First we will understand the different parts here, okay, through this diagram. Later we will discuss this one by one, okay. Now you can see this diagram also, or you can see this diagram here. Where is the diagram? Yes, this can also be used as a reference, okay. Now first we will see this diagram, later on we will go to this one, and later the explanation part, okay. This is a diagrammatic representation. This type of diagram you need to draw in the exam. This is for your understanding purpose, okay. Now can you see this one? This is a wall, okay. The exterior one is called as wall, okay. Now the first one, what is this? Impost. This is called as impost. What do you mean by impost? Over which this arch will come and settle. The horizontal portion, this is a horizontal portion which supports the arch. You can understand like this. Now what are these units? We understood that these are called as wedge shaped units. Technically, these are called as visors. These are called as visors. All the units in the arch are called as visors. Okay. Now, what is this springer? Springer is the first wedge unit. Here also there, here is also there. Okay. Springer is the first unit in the arch. From there, arch will start. From this point, arch will start. From this point, arch will start like this. Okay. Now, in this curve, arch is nothing but curve structure. No? Arch is nothing but curve structure. This is one curve. This is the second curve. Okay. This is the second curve. Can you able to see? So when you construct the wedge shape unit into curved portion, you will get two curves. One side inner curve, another is outer curve. So inner curve is called as intradose. The inner curve, generally we call it as intradose, inner curve. Okay. Outer curve is called as extradose. Outer curve, the outer curve, this curve is called as extradose. I hope it is clear now. Okay. Now here, can you see this one? This portion is called as haunch. This is called as haunch portion. Here one point is there, springing point, correct? Here is also one, another is there, that is also springer. So these points are called as springing points. Springing points is nothing but from there arch will start or arch will end. You can say like that. Okay, first or last point. So line, the horizontal line joining these two springing point is called as springing line. It is called as springing line. Can you see this diagram? Here horizontal line, the outermost portion, this the centermost or the highest portion, we generally call it as keystone, a little bit bigger in size. So this keystone is at the uppermost part of the curve. Do you agree or not? Yes or no? So first, second, third, like this, if we go height wise, this stone, this portion is at the highest portion. So this is called as keystone. Now from this horizontal line, this is imaginary line, okay? Horizontal line to this point, this distance or this height, we generally call it as rise. Rise of an arch is the distance between the springing line and the keystone bottom or the keystone bottom. Now this thickness, this one height and this height, this what is that? Clear distance between the intradose and extradose, we call it as depth. We call it as depth. I hope it is now clear. So this distance, this from the here to here, it is called as thickness. So all these terms will not come in one diagram, okay? So you have to imagine in your, what is that? Three-dimensional imagination should be necessary here to understand the different parts here, okay? So this distance from this view to this view, from this side to this side, whatever the distance you are getting, no, that is called as the thickness of an arch. This is called as thickness of an arch. From the same view, the top portion is here, the bottom portion is here. So this distance, that is the distance between intradose and distance between extradose, those two curve, that distance we call it as depth. We call it as depth. It is very important to understand the points. Okay. Now you have thickness, you have depth, you have rise. Obviously, when it is a curved portion, obviously there should be one center. From this, like this curve is moving. How to draw the circle? There will be center, there will be one circle going. So this is a circle. For the timing, you understand it is a circle or a part of the circle. May not be, it may be different than circle also. Okay, circle also. Sometimes you have one part of the circle here, another part of the circle. So you might be having two centers. For a circular, pure circle, and that too it is a pure semicircle, you have only one center for this arch, and that will be here. So this will be the center of this arch, like this. Center is nothing but an imaginary point. From there you can draw the radius like this. Okay, imaginary portion. I hope the points are clear. Now we will come back to this diagram. So here more technical terms are engaged here. Okay, now can you see this one? Okay, can you see this one? Intradose means what? Where I have drawn. Okay, this is a curved portion. This is a curved portion. Try to concentrate on the cursor here. Curved portion. So this inner curve, intradose. There is an outer curve. We call it as extradose. Okay. So the this is called as abutment. This is called as abutment. Okay. Some if multiple arcs are there, then we call it as arcade. We call it as arcade. This is only this portion. Only one portion is enlarged here. One portion is enlarged here. So multiple segments are there. Then we call it as arcade. Arcade. And here also support, here also support, here also support, here also, like this it will be there. Okay, these are this distance, the clear distance between the two supports in a arcade, we call it as span. We call it as span. Okay, so that span is seen here. That span is seen here. I hope it is now clear. Okay. Okay. Now, just now we have seen what is this. From bottom we can go. Pier is what? Support. Pier is nothing but support of the wall over which arch is rested. Over this arch is rested. This is abutment. Abutment means what? When you have a arcade, multiple arches. The last one or the very first one that support, this support and this support is called as abutments. This is called as abutments. Okay. So inner supports are called as piers. I hope it is clear. Inner supports are called as piers and outermost supports are called as abutments. So these two things are present in arcade. Arcade is a multiple construction of arches. Like this series of arches are there. Okay. I hope it is now clear. Now what points you can expect here? Okay, what other things? What is this spandrel? When you have two or more arches, that triangle portion formed, this triangle portion, like this here triangle portion will come, here also triangle portion will come like this, here also triangle portion. This triangle portion called as spandrel. It's called as spandrel. From the last diagram we have seen a haunch. No? Haunch is a downward portion of this arch. Haunch is downward portion of the arch. What is voyager? Voyager are the individual units. Voyager are the individual units. What is this crown? Crown is the topmost position or the topmost point. Okay. What is key? Key is the topmost block. It is not a position. Keystone means it is a unit. Crown is a position. Okay. It is a place or a position. Okay. Keystone means it is a stone, brick or the unit. Okay. What is this springing line? First springer, last springer. Joining these two, you will get what? A springing line. From here, clear vertical distance to the bottom of this keystone is called as rise. Is called as rise. I hope it is now clear. Now, what is skew back? Skew back is a portion of the abutment. Skew back is the portion of the abutment. From there, arch will begin. Means what? Arch will come and rest on this skew back. Arch will come or rest on this skew back. Okay. Now, can you able to see the center? Center is a for this arch. Okay, for this curved portion you can have a center. It's called a center. Center is one point. From that you can understand that kind of a radius can be drawn which matches with the curved portion of the arch. Like this, if it is a circular what is it, some center point, from there you can take a what is that geometric instrument. There you can draw the arch like this on the paper. Okay, I hope it is now clear. So we have explained all the points. Okay. So key we have seen,